September 2007, 14-year-old Andrew Gosden kissed his parents goodbye and walked out of the front door, headed to school. But Andrew never made it to class. Instead, he withdrew his savings, bought a one-way train ticket to London, and vanished into the crowds of King's Cross Station. No mobile phone, no change of clothes, no clear reason why. For nearly 2 decades, his disappearance has haunted investigators and family alike, leaving behind nothing but questions. What drove him to London that day? Did he plan to start a new life, or did something sinister happen in the shadows of the city? This is the story of Andrew Gosden, the boy who disappeared without a trace. Welcome to Crimes That Haunt Us. We release a new case every Sunday at 6 p.m, so hit subscribe and don't miss the next one. And let me know your thoughts on this case in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. Andrew Paul Gosden entered the world on July 10, 1993, in the quiet suburb of Balby, nestled within Doncaster, South Yorkshire in England, a place where ordinary lives unfolded amid unassuming streets. His parents, Kevin and Glenys Gosden, both dedicated speech therapists by profession, were also deeply committed Anglican Christians who made a deliberate choice not to baptize their children, Andrew and his older sister Charlotte, who was 2 years his senior. This decision stemmed from their desire to avoid imposing religious views, instead nurturing an environment where their kids could freely explore faith, personal beliefs, and individual interests on their own terms. The family resided in a modest home on Littlemore Lane, a setting that reflected their grounded lifestyle, where Andrew earned the affectionate nickname Roo, a tender nod to his playful yet often absent-minded demeanor, evoking the bouncy, whimsical character from Winnie the Pooh. From his earliest years, Andrew exhibited clear signs of introversion combined with a sharp intellectual curiosity. Those who knew him described him as a true homebird, someone who vastly preferred the comfort of indoor spaces, seldom stepping out without first informing his family, and displaying absolutely no inclination toward the usual childhood pursuits such as sports or energetic outdoor play. Physically, Andrew was notably small for his age, often appearing closer to 12 years old despite being 14 at the moment of his vanishing. With light brown hair that he had expressed plans to dye black, strong prescription glasses that were a constant feature, he had deafness in his left ear and a distinctive double ridge on the helix of his right ear, a rare and unusual characteristic that his father Kevin would later emphasize in desperate public appeals as a key identifier. There were zero indications of any family conflict, signs of depression, experiences of bullying, or any form of abuse. Andrew appeared genuinely content with his small, selective circle of like-minded friends from school, although he never socialized with them outside of school hours. Andrew shared an especially close bond with his sister Charlotte, who was immersed in the goth subculture. The siblings forged a deep connection through their shared fervor for rock and heavy metal music. Andrew's upbringing was consistently marked by his absent-minded tendencies and a striking lack of streetwise awareness or practical savvy. Between the ages of 10 to 12, he possessed several mobile phones but made rare use of them, often losing them carelessly and instead choosing to acquire a new Xbox console as a replacement. He delighted in delving into advanced literature, notably reading Friedrich Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil in the weeks immediately before his disappearance, a profound philosophical text that delves into complex themes of morality, control, and the pursuit of personal freedom, themes that some observers later interpreted as symbolically echoing the enigmatic nature of his sudden, unexplained actions. Andrew was a student at the Macaulay Catholic High School in Doncaster, a co-educational secondary institution where he upheld a flawless 100% attendance record, never absent for a single day. He was enrolled in the prestigious Young Gifted and Talented program, a nationwide initiative designed specifically for high-achieving students, and his teachers hailed him as a prize-winning mathematician, with firm expectations of achieving straight A's in his forthcoming GCSE exams, and a promising future trajectory towards Cambridge University. During the summer holidays of 2006, Andrew took part in a 2-week residential program at Lancaster University, organised as part of the Gifted initiative, and he returned home visibly enthused and deeply inspired by the experience. In the immediate lead-up to the 2007 school year, Andrew broke from his established routine on 2 separate occasions by opting to walk the approximately 4-mile walk home from school, a journey taking about 1 hour and 20 minutes, instead of boarding the bus, an anomalous decision for this non-athletic teenager. The evening before the disappearance, on September 13, 2007, the family shared a completely routine evening, gathering for a meal together, handling the washing of dishes as a unit, with Andrew joining Kevin in assembling a jigsaw puzzle on the computer, followed by watching comedy programs such as Mock the Week and That Mitchell and Weblock alongside Lenny's. September 14, 2007, the morning unfolded in a seemingly routine manner at first, but rapidly descended into the enduring mystery that now defines the entire case. Between 7 and 8 a.m., Andrew arose later than his typical time, displaying noticeable irritability as he readied himself for school. He adhered to his standard morning routine, consuming breakfast alongside the family before departing. At 8 a.m., Andrew left the family home on Littlemore Lane, casually bidding "see you later" to his parents and sister before commencing what should have been his usual journey to school. A family friend observed him walking across Westfield Park in the direction of his regular bus stop, and Reverend Alan Murray also caught sight of him in the vicinity during this time. But instead of boarding the bus as expected, he veered off course to a nearby garage ATM, where he withdrew £200 from his personal savings account, which contained £214 in total. He was then recorded on a Neighbours CCTV footage returning home for a brief period around 8:30 a.m. Between 8:30 to 9 a.m., upon re-entering the house, Andrew placed his school uniform, with exception of the blazer which he carefully hung on a chair, into the washing machine, changed into casual clothing which consisted of a black slipknot t-shirt, black jeans, black trainers, and a watch secured to his left wrist. He then packed his black canvas satchel bag, containing his wallet, house keys, possibly his Oyster card, and his portable PlayStation console. He consciously left behind his passport, a sweatshirt, a coat, and the PSP charger in his room, items that starkly contradicted any notion of permanent flight or long departure. At 9:05 a.m., Andrew exited the house once more, with the Neighbours CCTV precisely timestamping his passage between 9:05:11 and 9:05:17, capturing him walking past numbers 52 to 48 Littlemore Lane with a van in close proximity, as he embarked on the roughly 1-mile walk down Littlemore Lane toward Doncaster railway station. At 9:17 a.m., Andrew purchased a one-way advance single ticket to London King's Cross for £31.40 in cash from a female ticket seller. She specifically offered him a return ticket for a mere 50p extra, but he firmly insisted on the single option, a choice she later recalled as strikingly unusual for a schoolboy travelling solo. She observed that he didn't seem scared, just certain, his demeanour resolute and unflinching. Meanwhile, the school made an attempt to contact the family regarding his absence, but erroneously dialed a wrong number due to transposed digits, resulting in an unanswered voicemail that remained undiscovered until the evening, tragically delaying the family's realization by critical hours and contributing to the initially low urgency response from authorities. This simple bureaucratic error triggered a devastating domino effect, squandering precious early momentum in the unfolding search. At around 9:30 a.m., Andrew boarded the delayed Newcastle to King's Cross train at Platform 1. A businessman believed he spotted a boy matching Andrew's description standing alone prior to boarding, though this remains unverified. The train departed at 9:35 a.m. A female passenger who sat beside him noted that he remained quiet throughout, deeply absorbed in playing his PSP and paying no attention to the on-board announcements. The journey, lasting approximately 1 hour and 46 minutes, transpired without any incidents or disruptions. At 11:20 a.m., the train pulled into King's Cross station. Andrew was captured on CCTV as he exited the platform concourse, moving with purpose amid the throng. 11:25 a.m. This marks the final confirmed sighting. CCTV footage from the main King's Cross entrance depicts Andrew stepping out, his satchel slung over his right shoulder, passing a man wearing a white t-shirt. The grainy, time-stamped 11:25 a.m. image shows a small boy dressed in black, blinking against the bright sunlight as he emerges onto the bustling Euston Road, surrounded by hurried commuters who rushed by, utterly unaware that they might be among the last to ever lay eyes on him alive. At 12:30 p.m., a highly credible witness who stepped forward mere days later after viewing missing posters reported encountering a boy precisely matching Andrew's description, including his distinctive mannerisms, the slip-knot shirt and the satchel, at a Pizza Hut located on Oxford Street, between a 40 to 60-minute walk from King's Cross, where he was seen ordering and consuming pizza entirely alone. Behavior aligning perfectly with his known affinity for Pizza Hut and the location's proximity to music outlets such as HMV. Regrettably, police failed to request the CCTV footage in a timely manner, allowing it to be overwritten, thus rendering the report forever unverified and leaving a tantalizing gap in the timeline. Meanwhile, back in Doncaster, the Gosdens arrived home at around 6 p.m, anticipating dinner as usual. Andrew's absence initially seemed unremarkable. They presumed he was downstairs in the converted cellar, engaged in gaming, or upstairs completing homework in his room. As searches commenced, the discovery of his uniform, his passport, and the PSP charger shattered any illusions. Phone calls to his friends quickly confirmed that he had skipped school entirely. Between 6 and 7 p.m, panic surged uncontrollably. Kevin and Charlotte scoured his school route and the bushes in Westfield Park. Glenys frantically made calls to anyone who might know something. No sign emerged. The emotional turmoil intensified dramatically, with Glenys desperately searching the street barefoot, her screams of his name echoing into the air. At 7 p.m, the family formally reported Andrew missing to South Yorkshire Police, who promptly classified him as a high risk due to his tender age and inherent vulnerability, notifying national databases immediately, though the initial approach leaned heavily toward treating him as a potential runaway. Officers arrived on scene, meticulously noted every detail, and conducted a thorough search of the home. Within just 3 hours, a missing person leaflet was produced and distributed throughout the local area. Between 7 p.m. to midnight, an exhaustive search involving family, friends, and police officers blanketed neighborhoods until darkness fell completely. No trace whatsoever was uncovered. September 15th to 16th, weekend efforts concentrated on local searches, encompassing wooded areas and the banks of the River Don. Insomnia and a state of hypervigilance began to relentlessly plague Kevin, manifesting in daily panic surges that left him shattered. His personal diary entries would later disclose that he slept less than 2 hours per night and frequently heard Andrew's voice calling out in his dreams. On September 17th, the ticket seller from Doncaster station came forward after encountering missing posters, confidently declaring that she had sold a one-way ticket to King's Cross to Andrew on September 14th, solidly confirming his travel to London and the peculiar insistence on a one-way fare. It took South Yorkshire Police a full 3 days to notify British Transport Police of the possibility of train travel, despite repeated suggestions from the family urging this action. They formally requested that British Transport Police review CCTV from King's Cross, but British Transport Police initially reported an inability to identify Andrew amid the dense crowds and poor resolution of the footage. A South Yorkshire police officer was then dispatched to London to provide assistance, ultimately leading to his positive identification 3 weeks later. The family made the journey to London themselves, tirelessly distributing flyers in the vicinity of relatives in Chislehurst and Sidcup. The sighting at the Oxford Street Pizza Hut was reported but not pursued with the necessary urgency or promptness, inevitably resulting in the CCTV footage being recorded over. Anonymous crank calls falsely claiming sightings in places like Manchester or Liverpool only served to heighten the family's already overwhelming distress. On September 18th, an unconfirmed sighting occurred in Southwark Park, London, where a boy matching Andrew's description was reportedly observed sleeping rough within the park grounds, appearing dishevelled yet otherwise unharmed. The witness remained unnamed, and no subsequent police follow-up or verification was documented. September 19th, another unconfirmed sighting took place at Mortlake station in London. A boy resembling Andrew was seen disembarking a train originating from Waterloo, then proceeding on foot up Sheen Lane and Upper Richmond Road. He appeared to have acquired warmer clothing, hinting that he may have purchased or borrowed these items. But again, the witness was unnamed, with no further details or confirmation available. The investigative focus pivoted decisively to London. However, requests for bus or tube CCTV were not made promptly, including critical areas like Thames Link platforms, later revealed as known operating grounds for traffickers, and the Metropolitan Police were only formally brought into the fold after this belated discovery, weeks too late in the critical window, resulting in some footage being irretrievably overwritten after a standard 6-week retention period due to inadequate liaison between South Yorkshire Police, the Met, and British Transport Police. In early October 2007, South Yorkshire Police initiated their first major public appeal for information on Andrew Gosden, a month after his disappearance, publicly releasing the CCTV footage of his arrival at London's King's Cross and urgently calling on anyone with knowledge to come forward. By the first anniversary of his vanishing, a staggering 122 sightings had been reported across the nation, with 45 concentrated in London and 11 in Brighton. On the 17th of October 2007, an unconfirmed sighting unfolded in Covent Garden, London. A female worker had approached a boy who matched Andrew's description outside of an office block. She initially inquired if he lived in London, then remarked that he bore a strong resemblance to the missing boy featured on TV. The boy denied it was him, stating, "No, it's not me," before countering with the peculiar question. "Is that your only question?" he said, to which she responded, "Yeah," an exchange she later described as strange and evasive in tone. The boy was never located or traced to confirm or refute his identity, and police only investigated this lead after a delay of 6 weeks, compounding the frustration. The CCTV camera positioned outside the offices where this interaction occurred was malfunctioning at the time, yielding no footage whatsoever. Between November and December, police subjected the family to so-called voluntary interviews conducted without any legal safeguards in place, subtly implying the possibility of staging or foul play involvement. Officers employed good cop, bad cop interrogation tactics, probing into matters of discipline and family finances, even hinting at potential insurance fraud or direct familial complicity. Kevin bore the heaviest burden during these sessions, with detectives confronting him bluntly. "We know what happened. Now tell us why." They floated the baseless theory that Andrew might have fled to join as a jihadi fighter, drawing from his borrowing of Middle Eastern history books from the library, a notion Kevin vehemently dismissed as absurd and the most ridiculous thing you've heard in your life. These grueling sessions left Glennies in a catatonic state and inflicted deep, lasting trauma on the entire family. Preliminary digital examinations of computers at school and the library uncovered no online activity, emails, or social media traces, fully consistent with Charlotte's unwavering account that Andrew harbored zero interest in digital forms of socializing. This all transpired in 2007, on the cusp of smartphone revolution. Social media platforms like Facebook were still in their nascent stages in the UK, and Andrew possessed no smartphone, no online accounts of any kind, and no digital footprint to speak of. In the modern era, such a disappearance might leave behind a trail of pings, direct messages, or location data, but in 2007, it vanished into an eerie void of silence, intensifying the case's haunting, impenetrable atmosphere. Both the family and police thoroughly explored the hypothesis that Andrew had travelled to London to rendezvous with someone he had met online, yet no shred of evidence materialised to support this. In mid-December, utterly overwhelmed by the relentless accusatory interviews and the suffocating weight of suspicion, Kevin attempted to end his life by overdose, gripped by the despairing belief that to be out of the way would be best for everyone, and the crushing conviction that we're never going to find him like this. A close friend, alerted by a distraught Glennies, discovered him unresponsive, administered immediate first aid, and summoned an ambulance without delay. Kevin was rushed to Doncaster Royal Infirmary, where he received treatment for the overdose ingestion and was subsequently transferred to psychiatric care for several months, undergoing ECT and intensive counselling to combat his profound despair. In November 2008, an anonymous letter sent to the BBC claimed that a boy matching Andrew's description had been observed sleeping rough near a churchyard in Leominster, Herefordshire, yet another unverified lead that contributed to the accumulating pile of dashed hopes. Additionally, a man had also visited Leominster Police Station and communicated via their intercom, asserting he possessed knowledge of Andrew Gosden, but he departed without divulging any information. This incident occurred prior to the anonymous BBC letter. Authorities were unable to trace the man and remain uncertain whether the letter writer and this individual were one and the same or entirely separate parties. Also in 2008, police reached out to Sony, the manufacturer of the PSP, who verified that Andrew's device had never once connected to the internet through its DNAS authentication system. No account had been set up, and no communication had ever been established, effectively eliminating any possibility of online activity or remote tracking. After enduring intense scrutiny, police officially ruled out any family involvement. Kevin, immersed in his grief, personally wrote detailed letters to every shelter in London, describing Andrew with such vivid precision that he could draw him blindfolded in a relentless quest for any hint of his son's whereabouts. Unconfirmed sightings continued to trickle in, including one in Streatham Park, London, where a boy resembling Andrew was reportedly seen sleeping in the park, appearing vulnerable and isolated. Another, in South Wales, a brief report of a similar boy spotted in a rural setting, possibly sleeping rough. And one in Birkenhead, Merseyside, a vague account of a teenager matching the description near the docks, but lacking any substantive details or follow-ups. On the 2nd of August 2008, at approximately 12 p.m, 16-year-old Alex Sloley left a friend's residence in Edmonton, London Borough of Enfield, intending to travel the 5 to 6 miles south to his family home in Islington. A student of accountancy at City and Islington College, he was on summer recess. No classes were scheduled. He carried no wallet, passport, or change of clothing, only a mobile phone and approximately £10 in cash. Police records confirm he informed friends he was returning home to prepare for his 17th birthday on August 3rd. His phone ceased network activity shortly after departure. Despite extensive CCTV analysis along probable routes, including King's Cross Station, no confirmed sighting of Alex exists, sparking immediate comparisons to Andrew's case owing to their strikingly similar profiles as introverted, high-achieving teenagers who evaporated within the London rail network without any preceding signs or distress. 2009, the Independent Police Complaints Commission, or IPCC, upheld complaints regarding poor supervision and insensitive interviewing techniques against the Gosdens, mandating retraining for involved officers but issuing no formal apology until much later in 2017. Kevin had lodged the complaint himself, shining a light on glaring institutional shortcomings. In that same year, Kevin issued a heartfelt public appeal directed at the LGBTQ community, openly speculating that Andrew might have been grappling with his sexual identity, declaring, "We are a pretty open family, so have wondered if he was gay or struggling with his sexual identity and found it too awkward to raise. If he is gay, we do not have any issue with it." This targeted outreach added a layer of complexity and humanity to theories involving voluntary runaway scenarios. Also in 2009, the first age-progressed images of Andrew were unveiled, artistically rendering what he might look like at age 16. Yet these images regrettably produced no tangible leads or breakthroughs. An unconfirmed sighting emerged from a pub in Southend on Sea, where a boy matching Andrew's description was observed sipping non-alcoholic drinks, appearing conspicuously out of place, but no CCTV or further witness testimonies could verify this sighting. Another report came from a witness positioned outside the Natural History Museum in London, describing a taller boy with long black hair and a pronounced gothy aesthetic that evoked an older version of Andrew, but again this lead led nowhere. By 2010, Andrew's bank account had fallen completely inactive. Financial records conclusively showed no further withdrawals beyond the one on September 14, 2007. 2 additional unconfirmed possible sightings were logged by police. The first involved a report from a Plymouth hostel where a teenager, deaf in one ear and matching Andrew's description, checked in for a short stay, carrying a satchel. Staff remembered him as quiet and withdrawn, but no identification was provided and no verification followed. The second alleged sighting reportedly occurred in Peckham, London, though the exact dates for both of these reports remain unknown. In 2011, a sonar search of the River Thames was conducted, privately funded by the family in a desperate bid to locate Andrew. Although the effort yielded no results pertaining to him, it did uncover an unrelated body, momentarily igniting false hope that agonizingly flickered out for the Gosdens. In September 2017, Mick Neville, the retired head of the Metropolitan Police's Central Images Unit, publicly highlighted striking similarities between Andrew's case and that of Alex Sloley, emphasizing both as exceptionally bright mathematics students who vanished without a trace in the London area. It raises the question of whether there is a serial killer on the prowl. The potential links between these cases needs to be recognized, Neville asserted. Also in 2017, police publicly stated that ongoing investigative protocols included annual reviews of Andrew Gosden's optical prescriptions, passport records, national insurance details, DNA, fingerprints and dental records, along with cross-checks against unidentified hospital patients, indicating their working belief that he may still be alive. And on what would have been Andrew's 25th birthday on July 10, 2018, an age-progressed image was released through the National Crime Agency's Missing Persons Unit, depicting a potential appearance at age 25, generated via advanced craniofacial software. A bombshell case breakthrough came on December 8, 2021, when it was announced that 2 men, aged 38 and 45, were arrested in London on suspicion of kidnapping, human trafficking, and child sexual exploitation, with the older individual also facing charges related to indecent images. This was following an anonymous tip that appeared loosely connected to the case. Detectives confiscated numerous electronic devices for in-depth forensic examination. However, by September 20, 2023, both men were released without any charges, with South Yorkshire Police issuing a statement expressing confidence that the 2 individuals had no involvement in Andrew's disappearance. No definitive, irrefutable theory has ever crystallized regarding Andrew's disappearance. South Yorkshire Police continue to classify it as a high-risk missing person case with possible homicide undertones, yet concrete evidence remains elusive. Nevertheless, several leading possibilities endure, each bolstered by circumstantial elements but lacking any form of proof. The voluntary runaway scenario. Perhaps Andrew, driven by a sudden urge for independence or intellectual exploration, possibly influenced by his readings such as Nietzsche's assertion that he who has a way to live can bear almost any how. His purchase of a one-way ticket, pointedly refusing to spend an extra 50p for the return, could support this. However, the specific items he selected argue strongly for short-term intentions. He took no warm clothing. He had left behind £100 cash of his birthday money and omitted essentials like the PSP charger and his passport. The family's initial theory posited a simple sightseeing excursion to London, noting his enjoyment of the city from prior family visits and his fascination with museums and exhibitions. Free child bus travel was available at the time. Yet the nagging question lingers: why didn't Andrew return? They further theorized that Andrew might have been emulating his sister Charlotte, who had once previously travelled to London to distribute her CV in search of work experience. But once again, the central mystery persists. Why didn't he come back? The family meticulously investigated the possibility that Andrew ventured to London to attend a music event. They discovered that 30 Seconds to Mars had performed at the Brixton Academy on the evening of September 14, 2007, a venue within walking distance from King's Cross Station. The metal band Sixth had rescheduled their farewell gig to the Carling Academy in Islington for a September 14, 2007 gig, this too located just over a mile from King's Cross. Ex-Scotland Yard detective Mick Neville regarded the Sixth gig as a highly plausible draw. He issued a direct appeal for attendees to submit their photos and videos from the event, enlisting the aid of so-called super recognizers to scan for any trace of Andrew. But this exhaustive effort turned up nothing substantive. It also came to light that the rock band Him conducted a promotional signing at HMV on Oxford Street on September 17th, and an invitation-only show at the Borderline venue. This avenue too was pursued with vigor with the band's cooperation, yet no viable leads materialized. Crucially, there exists no evidence that Andrew attended any of these events or held a particular favoritism toward these bands beyond his broader enthusiasm for rock and metal music. Could it have been an accidental death or some form of misadventure? Might Andrew have become disoriented in the vast city, gotten lost and tragically ended up in a canal or river somehow? Or was he the victim of a robbery gone wrong, subjected to an assault, and his body disposed of to conceal the crime? Or could this be a tragic case of a self-harm scenario? Then there looms the foul play grooming angle. Was Andrew deliberately lured to London through a pre-arranged meeting, or did he encounter a predator after stepping out of King's Cross? Those 2021 arrests of 2 men on suspicion of kidnapping and child exploitation undeniably signal that the police maintain this as an active line of inquiry. But with such profound ambiguity and a stark absence of evidence, the door remains wide open. The Gosdens continue to grapple with ambiguous loss and an excruciating state of limbo, symbolized most poignantly by the unchanged house locks. Andrew still possesses a key and could, in their enduring hope, walk through the door at any moment. Kevin relinquished his job, battles ongoing memory issues, and regularly attends retreats organized by missing people. He co-founded support groups for affected families and tirelessly lobbied for critical policy reforms, including amendments to the 2014 Missing Children Act. Charlotte pursued studies in linguistics, but postponed major life milestones due to overwhelming survivor's guilt, though she now channels her experience into meaningful work in youth support. Glennies took early retirement, discovering a measure of solace in tending to a garden filled with Andrew's favourite wildflowers, a quiet act of remembrance amid the storm. Whatever became of Andrew Gosden remains one of Britain's most heartbreaking mysteries. A gifted, thoughtful boy who stepped out of his life one September morning and was never seen again. Whether Andrew is still out there somewhere or his journey ended long ago, he deserves to be remembered not for the mystery but for the person he was. May answers and peace one day be found for him and his family. Thanks for watching and listening to Andrew's story. Please feel free to add your own comments, thoughts and theories down below, and we'll see you next time.